From my point of view, there is an architect inside of everybody of us. When we are kids, we know how to sing, we know how to make music, we know how to paint, how to draw, etc. And obviously, we know also how to build. When we are playing in between children, we built our own architectures. So there is an architect inside of us.
How could we present you? How should I introduce you? Are you an architect? Are you an artist? Are you a writer? Are you an activist?
I think I am an architect that is speaking about architecture, about my idea of architecture, an architecture that is not the architecture that is coming out from a straight professional architect. I had a license to kill the context, but I am also the one that loves architecture, then not obliged into the restrictions of the profession, but free of expressing itself in total freedom. I was very cold. The tide was coming in, and after a certain moment, I had to escape because it was winter, and I did not want to be submerged by the tide. My way of theorizing about architecture was put in danger by the strength of nature. No? The house is imitating the others around that were all white, all declaring the social class of the inhabitants. My way of covering everything, glasses included, with clay, was a way to declare architecture should have the possibility of being freer, not constricted in zoning codes, but freer of expressing itself. The police came because the neighbors were saying that some long-haired people were vandalizing the house in front of them. There was a little boy in his bicycle, stopped while we were doing it and asked me, "Are you building something or are you destroying something?" I think it was the best comment I ever had in that project. The bigger building is an abandoned high school in a park, and I asked to cover that building with ice. Minneapolis has, especially January and February, has a very freezing night. I built a wooden box, and I filled up every night of about half of a meter, 40 centimeters of water, so it could freeze during that night. As soon as finished the coverage of all the building, we dismantled the wooden box, and this is what did appear. This kind of material, this kind of building material, like ice, like a natural material, could be a chance also of building a new building more respectful about nature. The Tumbleweds sculpture is in a vacant lot of Salt Lake City. The Tumbleweds are they are doing a sort of a dull life, kind of stupid life, because they are in a desert and they are just waiting to die because of the summer. After they die, those bushes, they start to tumble. They start to be moved by the wind. They have a stupid life when they are alive. They have a beautiful life, totally free, when they are dead. All the fences that are along the highway were capturing those tumbleweeds, were full of tumbleweeds dead again for the second time. I'd built the tower to give the tumbleweeds the possibility of bypassing the town and continuing the run along the deserts. I did in every wall this kind of opening, this kind of breathing, making the building abandoned for different centuries. I made was a signal to have made the building breathing, so being alive again and rebreathing life again after decades of abandonment. This is again a statement about the fact that if you are using fresh clay and you leave the prints of the hand in that big wall, while and little by little is drying up. Prints of the hands, they become almost invisible because you will see the cracks of this fresh material drying up. Even if architecture wants to be somehow the way of certifying the presence of man, after a bit, nature will win. Architecture will never be permanent. The forces of nature are stronger. As an European, I was a sort of frustrated of living in a continent like Europe, in which the traces of the previous stages of civilization were using and superimposing themselves centuries after centuries in everything, in all the land. No? In Europe, you cannot drive for 15 minutes without meeting presence of man. No? I was looking for a place in which the presence of the past was absent. So I thought that the deserts in the southwest of the States should be interesting for me, where the presence of civilization was not marking the natural territory. The natives, they recognize in nature their own architecture. We think that architecture is something man-made. Nomadic people recognizes architecture in nature. If you take out your shoes, you can use the couch in a very free manner. You just can destroy the regular geometry of this couch, and this couch begins to be a forest. This couch loves to be something else, anything you want. You can play with that, you can eat in that, You can meet people, you can make love with anybody. So my scope was the one of giving a pair of scissors to encourage every visitor coming for my lecture to build their own itinerary. You can have the chance for once to go through that kind of forest and build up and give shape to your decisions in a more conscious manner. So you have to play a kind of game within yourself, taking some responsibilities, because a stripe of paper cut is a definitive gesture. You cannot go backwards. All those works we have seen till now are somehow subversive, are a way of strongly criticizing the control that the political and economic power has on the physical context we live in. No? We live in an organization of spaces that is the perfect translation of the control of somebody else on our lives.